Fast am I, good evening and welcome to the Mags Radio Folk Show with me, John Barker, playing you the best in folk and roots music from the Isle of Man and from all around the world. The first track tonight I've played you before, The Daring Highwayman by the Hack Poets Guild, from an album from a couple of years ago, The Black Letter Garland. But I'm playing it again because it features Lisa Knapp, who I so much enjoyed a few weeks ago as part of the Manannan Festival at the Erin Arts Centre.
I am a daring highwayman, likewise a gallant rover. From London town I surely came since I became a rover. For a maid who proved with child, for England I sailed over. I left my parents almost wild since I became a rover. Many battles I've been in through France and Spain and Flanders, and always fought with courage bold under my brave commanders. But through the usage I received, no one shall ever control me. Resolved for my liberty, strong walls never will hold me. Back to England shores I came as fast as wind could blow me. Resolved for my liberty, no one should ever control me. Back to England shores I came and found my name deserted. My parents' heart was almost broken, I was sore affrighted. For want of money and a friend, and poverty come on me. For want of money and a friend, it brought destruction on me. The very first man I ever robbed, it was the Lord of Honour, the nobleman I did insult in all a roguish manner. Make no more denial. If you resist, it is my design. With batter and boards of fire, I put my pistol to his breast, which made him fall to shiver. 200 pounds in brightest gold to me did deliver. Besides a gold repeating watch, to me he did surrender. I thought I had a noble prize to be thus befriended. With 100 guineas in bright gold I bought a famous gelding. He could jump over the turnpike gate, I bought him off Jem Sheldon. Now mounted on my gallant steed, I looked so bold and daring. Resolved on the road to go, no man I ever did fear him. The very next man I robbed it was in Covent Garden. And in 2 hours after, well in Newgate I was fastened. I have robbed both lords and dukes of silver plate and money, all for to maintain myself and for my dearest Polly. But now in Newgate cells I lie until I am convicted. For my folly I now mercy crave, for I am sore afflicted.
A fantastic track. I know Jip Begane likes that a lot, so I'll dedicate that to him. Here's something very different, very traditional. In fact, these two tunes remind me very much of my predecessor on the show, John Caneen, as he used to play them often at sessions. Speed the Plough and the Princess Royal, and this is by Spires and Bowden from their album Vagabond. Now last week I played you a track by Lau, but here's one from an EP from 2012, Evergreen, which featured Lau and Kareen Polwart, which is an inspired combination. And this track is called From Rags to Riches.
I leave the home of a lifetime like any son. I have hope and good intentions, wandering into the daybreak. I learn as I go to fall laughing into the water. The sticks and the stones are our broken promises. I wait too long to go from rags to riches. I am in love with the feeling. A wild, wild sky, a wild, wild sky. Fences and tumble down bridges surround and divide. I wear a coat of many colors, the sticks and the stones are your broken promises. We wait too long to go from rags to riches. But we are in love with a feeling. A wild, wild sky, a wild, wild sky. Houses and fires, and starting out we find a waiting country. The sticks and the stones are your broken promises, but we wait no longer. We go from rags to riches. We are in love with a feeling. With a wild, wild sky, a wild, wild sky.
Now, back in the early days of me presenting this show, I played you some tracks from an album called So Far We Have Come by Tamsin, Elliott and Tarek Elazhary. It's a great album that I've just revisited recently. Tamsin plays the lever harp, the piano accordion, the quarter tone accordion and the flute, and Tarek plays the oud. I love the oud, and if you don't know, it's a fretless lute which is found in countries across the Middle East and North Africa. And indeed, Tarek is from Egypt. The track I'm going to play tonight is called In the Grey of the Morning. Now, of course, last week was Yn Chrunniaght, and the last concert at the Centenary Centre featured Callum Stewart, who was wonderful. This next track features Callum Stewart and also Greg Jochen joining Barul on a track called Even, Eishta Duil, from the album Manannan's Cloak.
Gysostan, she ben sefyd mi on, as fel mwr yn ei tebol daw, fel yn wyson blaen, eich leis net sef yn wrec, nac daw mi rym y sio, dy gael meri dy solent, na fe ac sy'n oria bio. Eich leis don fy gael sostan, fe gys merim sy trom, son den me ven einsta, todjem anskrarum, time us talu, very sugar daze, shen all your names sto well lot, and a you Goram my you ven einsta, a jargums do the nish, Tommy and Yenuk Yautan. Nag fod fyr jes feibrecht, dy sienrys my gwaith sali, yn y charfent iaw hi, o cred yw even einsta, y crita leis I sien, nag renni my fen einsta, gwylen y chori rom, nag Louis fos as fi, dy chol me flio as rom, tre nag chen yn pwsa hi, dy feis on ben daw hi, gael I siwr yn fyr ag yrach, dy chymi ans bresw. Fenjer evervek, Merspaleg vid en grace, Slick the eons me valgert, Juggerum sorens bays, Nag relish furgachi, Hein me a chule sos, Connor dreich ping the renge, The vein of ruines, Tommy J-Rod and Girach, They I harau cyron son wy so lyfo mi Eich taimi ons preswn Eich tiwys gil your ega Ta geis jag romes mish Na gingy jimmers gaman Cred ma gita mo Sorry, and no charvant yawi, oh, glad you leaving Einstein. Makrita
Recently, I played you a track by an Italian lute and accordion duo, Mauro Palmas and Giacomo Vardu. They've got an album called Seguida, and this track is Adelasia. Now, I recently bought a lovely resonator guitar from Pete Woodman, who made it a good few years ago. It's a wonderful thing, much better than my previous resonator, and it's nice to have something made here on the Isle of Man. The first arrangement of a song I've worked out on it is Queen Among the Heather, which I based on Wendy Grossman's version, which I've played you in previous shows. But I was just listening to Edgelark's Lockdown album, Henry Martin, the other day, and the song's on there and I'd completely forgotten, but it is a completely different version. So here it is, Edgelark's with Queen Among the Heather.
It's up a wide and a lonely glen. It was shared by many's a lofty mountain. It being far from the busy haunts of men. It being the first day that I went out a hunting. For it's been to me a happy day, the day I spied my roving fancy. She was herding her ewes out over the hills and down amongst the curling heather. For her coat was white and her gown was green. Her body it being so long and slender, with her cast down looks and a well-fed face, it has oftentimes made my heart to wonder. next door to.
To Lankum now. Unreasonably, I normally feature songs by the band, as they're always incredibly powerful and interestingly arranged. But they do record instrumental tracks too. And here's one called the Townie Polka from Between the Earth and Sky. And in the sleeve notes of the CD it says that Cormac got this tune from Donegal-based fiddler Mick Brown, who learned it from the melodeon player Eddie O'Gara, who in turn learned it from the playing of a travelling musician called Jimmy Irwin. A version of the White Cockade, the tune is believed to have had an otherworldly connection, with local youths claiming to have heard the ghosts of Jimmy playing the tune in his own distinctive style as they walked the country lanes at night. Well, this is a suitably spooky version by Lankum of the Townie Polka. As I said, it was in Yn Chrunniaght last week, and I was out and about in Peel enjoying the music and the food. Always good to have an excuse to have a black dog pizza. And I'll play you now some recordings I made at sessions and elsewhere during the week. Of course, the sound quality isn't brilliant, but I think it picks up the atmosphere of what was going on at Yn Chrunniaght. So it starts outside the House of Manannan with the Ellen Vannin pipes and drums, and then at Black Dog Oven with the barley shakes, followed by a little bit of the Irish session in O'Donnell's on Wednesday evening, and then some music from the Welsh session at Noah Bakehouse on Thursday lunchtime. I'm recording this on Friday morning, so I haven't got any more at the moment, but you never know, some might pop up next week if I get some good recordings. Over to Derry Farrell now from his album A Lifetime of Happiness and The Hills of Grainmore.
One fine winter's morning my horn I did blow, to the green fields of Katie to hunt I did go. We gathered our dogs and circled around, oh, for none loved the hunt better than the boys of Maydown. And when we arrived they were all standing there, so we took to the fields in search of the hare. And we did not go far till someone gave a cheer. Over high hills and valleys the wee hare did steer. When she got to the heather she tried them to shun, but the dogs they never missed her 1 inch where she ran. They were kept well packed going over the hill. They had set themselves this wee hare to kill. And it being quite early, I stopped for a while. 'Twas little I thought they were going to meet Coyle. For had I known that I'd have laid near the town, I'd have tried to get rid of those dogs that lay down. As we drew o'er the hill, it was a beautiful sight. There were dogs black and yellow and dogs black and white. And she took to the black bank to try them once more. Oh, and it was our last look on the hills of Craigmore. She sprung up to her feet for to bid them goodbye. But their music did cease and her cry we did hear, saying bad luck to the ones brought the maiden dogs here. In the field of wheat stubble the wee hare did lie, and the rory and charmer did soon pass her by. And there where we stood at the foot of the brae, I heard the last words that the wee hare did say. Oh, no more o'er the green fields of Cady I'll run, or trip through the fields in sport or in fun. For last night as I lay quite content in the glen, it was little my thoughts were of dogs and of men. And no more o'er the green fields of Cady I roam. And now that I am dying, the sport is all done. Nor hear the long horn that Joe Toner does play, nor go home to my bed by the clear light of day. Oh, you may blame old MacMahon for bringing Coyle here. He's been at the same caper for many's the year. Every Saturday and Sunday he'll never give o'er, with a pack of strange dogs round the hills of Greenmore.
Some tunes by the Boys of the Loch now, Eugene Stratton, The Constitution and President Garfield's. live folk and roots music happening this week? Well, the usual trad sessions will be happening, so there'll be O'Donnell's on Wednesday night about 8:45, the Mitre about 8:45 on Friday, the Mitre in Ramsey that is, and the Sunday afternoon session should be in Laxey's Sailing Club, probably starting about 12:30, 1 o'clock. May well be something happening at the Sailors' Shelter on Wednesday night as well. I haven't got that to hand at the moment. And of course there'll be the Folk Club on Thursday night at the Buffs Club in Ramsey. If you know of any other folk and roots music happening around the island, do let me know, and I can let everyone else who's listening know too. For my last track tonight, I'm going all the way back to 1973. And Strawbs, or The Strawbs. Dave Cousins was the focal point of Strawbs for much of their career, and he sadly died a couple of weeks ago. As well as being a musician, he had a career in radio, and in fact I seem to remember him being at Radio Tees when I was a teenager up that way. I had a copy of the Strawbs single Part of the Union, but I'm not going to play you that because it doesn't really feature Dave Cousins very much. It was more of a Hudson Ford effort. I doubt that at the age of 11 I really understood the political meaning of the song, but I liked the tune. However, in finding a track to play on tonight's show by Strawbs, my mind turned to the B-side of that single, Will You Go, which is their version of Wild Mountain Time. And in fact, I remember now that I picked up on this song at the time and listening to it again for the first time in probably 50-odd years. I now see why I always want to sing All Across the Purple Heather rather than All Across the Blooming Heather. So here it is, in memory of Dave Cousins of Strawbs, Will You Go. I'll be back next week to play more great folk and roots music from the Isle of Man and from all around the world, and I hope you'll join me then.
Late summertime is coming, with the trees still sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme growing round the purple heather. Will you go, lassie, go, and